Welcome everybody to the Elevate Podcast. My name is Donovan. I'm here with my brother John and my brother Drew. My brother Dallin's not on camera, but he will be soon. Yeah, we're here to do another episode. We'll do Drew's interview episode a little bit later, but today we wanted to keep it a little light, or at least not interview style. But yeah, so some of our topics, honestly, we're freestyling. In our previous episode, we shouted out a couple of our Polynesian brothers who do music and our fellow West Valley City family that does the restaurant. So if there's any other local businesses that you know, shoot them our way, please. We would love to review them on our channel, try their food, listen to their music. If it's artists, not even just from Utah. So if there's any up and coming artists from Arizona, let us know. Arizona, California, let us know who they are.
You guys ever listen to Call Him D? This is a black dude. He's a rapper, Christian rapper. Bro, he's bad, bro.
Yeah?
He's bad.
What's his name?
Call Him D.
Call him D? Oh, Call Him D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he does a lot of stuff like connected to the Bible, and like he writes his verses and his thoughts off of that kind of stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's freaking dope.
No, that is dope. I think there has to be different ways for people to express the Bible. Just because, for me, I'm not a good read and understand person. I love to watch the videos. I like to hear it in music form. So I like that. Call Him D.
Mm-hmm. He's dope. I think it's, I don't know, kind of cool, like, even with, like how you said, like, there has to be different ways to connect with the Bible, or Scripture in general, the spiritual aspect of life. It's all the same principles being taught in a different way and being explained through a different perspective.
Yeah.
And so it's like that, like, every single individual needs the gospel in a different way, spoken in a different way, addressed in a different way.
I think one thing you always told me about your mission was when you first went out there, you try to be like every other missionary, or you try to be like what the missionary everyone thinks is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And the experience that you go share. Like, why did you not be that way?
Honestly, it just didn't fit me. Like, I didn't feel like me. I didn't feel like I was connecting with individuals as myself. So I felt like, honestly, I just felt like I was fake as hell. So I was trying to be someone I wasn't, and then it just felt weird. So then, yeah, I just try to make it my own. I try to learn the gospel in a way that I understood it, in a way that I could be able to teach it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like the perfect example though of like the embodiment of the gospel for me, because everything, like what I learned on my mission was everything related to the gospel is just like personal conversion. So what you're learning, how it relates to you, how it affects your life, and then like for me, that's kind of what I did, is like put my own spin on it. Not my own spin on it, but just like my own understanding is how I would be able to teach other people, is like through my own personal experiences.
Yeah.
Or I was 18, so like personal experiences that I related to, like through scriptures and stuff like that.
I like how you said you're 18. I think a lot of people don't understand that the missionaries that are out there, they're still kids.
Yeah.
Straight out of high school, like, brand new. It's crazy.
Like, they're just turned 18, just graduated high school, and then to get sent to a foreign place or wherever for 2 years, and everyone thinks that doesn't understand what missionaries are. They think they're the most knowledgeable, or they have everything together, which, to be honest, from my experience, they don't. What was your guys' experience?
I think they're the least experienced individual out there on the mission. But I think that's the testament to kind of like what we believe in the church of setting apart in callings. We believe that we're endowed by a heavenly Father to be able to do the work. You know what I mean? And so, like, you have these young, like, kids that are out there trying to help people come closer to Christ through their 18 years of experience. But it enhances because they have the Spirit. They have the ability to be able to speak through the gospel lens. And so, like, that's why so many people are touched by the Spirit.
Yeah.
It's because of that. And so, at least for me, that was my experience where I'm like, damn, what the hell are we doing out here, bro?
Yeah.
What am I doing out here? Like, why are you guys listening to me, bro? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
I think for me, the biggest wake up call was like when I came home and then I would meet missionaries here, and I would look at them. I'm like, dang, bro, like you really just graduated. Like you're 18. Like I can't believe and I could feel like the power that they hold with like their authority, even just like having a casual conversation with them. So just like thinking about that, like dang, like you're really just 18, you're a kid, you're out here doing the Lord's work is crazy. But if you think about it, like in church history, like Joseph Smith was 14 when he had the first vision. So like these younger vessels are able to have like, I don't know if they're more open, but I think that plays a factor in it. Like they just haven't had the experience, or they're just more susceptible to the gospel because of the openness that they have.
That's what I want to. I know you already answered it, John, but why do you think the church decides to send out 18-year-olds rather than someone who's more experienced, they know the gospel, or they read the scripture? Obviously, like you guys now, you guys going out now, you're more experienced, you study the scriptures more. Why would they send you guys out and then send 18-year-olds out?
I think it just goes with the times, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, they used to send individuals like us on the mission. You know what I mean? Like so many men and women would leave their families to go and serve. But I think now is the time for the younger generation to be able to gain their experience through trial and error.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, in my brain, it makes sense because back in the day, they didn't really have a lot of distractions. You know what I mean? Like we have all this stuff. And therefore, like you give them time. A lot of times people that wait, not everyone, but people that wait, they're not going to go on their mission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not a negative thing, but it's just a thing that kind of Nico hit it on his episode. There's certain blessings that are given to certain individuals because certain experiences that have been made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I wouldn't have received the blessings I had if I didn't go on a mission, bro. No. You know what I mean? Like, if Grams passed away and I never went on a mission, bro, I wouldn't be sitting here doing a podcast with you at all. You know what I mean? So, that's just...
I love what he's saying, because for, like, you think back in, like, when you're reading church history and stuff, they're men that were going on missions when they had families and stuff like that. And, like, kind of building off what John said, that's not, I don't want to say unrealistic, but I feel like a lot of times, like, with the way our mindset is now, like, a lot of people wouldn't be willing to do, like, that's a much bigger ask. And so I feel like God knows his church, he knows his people. And so just being able to bring out that, like, give that experience to young men.
No, I love that. I think before you go on, we'll touch on details during your episode, but for you guys that don't know Drew, he didn't just serve in another state.
Oh, yeah.
Where did you serve?
I served in Liberia. It's
a whole nother continent.
Yeah. Country out in West Africa. It was a lot of fun, very humbling. I remember my mom cried when I went my mission call because she looked it up right after. She was like, there's no way my son is going here. But that was just being out there, like, my first initial thought was like, dang, like, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
Just being in the street, like, you got street vendors on the side. There's no kind of, like, traffic lights, stop signs, nothing. Everybody's just kind of weaving in and out, going everywhere. It's like just chaotic. But even that kind of experience, like, set aside from the way I was able to, like, grow spiritually, just being out in the world and experiencing that, like, if I didn't have the opportunity to serve a mission, there ain't no way you would ever find me out there in West Africa just living my life for 2 years.
That's dope. I think one big change that you told me about was I met Drew post-mission, and he is the least picky eater that I know.
Yeah.
And I did not believe it that he was the most picky eater before the mission.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's me too, bro.
That's the hard thing though. Like when I was a missionary, they give you food. These are people that like struggle. They don't even eat 3 times a day. They give you food. You gotta eat it all.
Yeah.
Bro, you think you really think that specific areas, you're really called to the mission?
Yeah.
Like really called to like the areas that you're called to?
Yeah, I think so for sure.
See, I feel like that too, bro. Because I would not survive in a third world country, bro.
Bro.
Dead serious, bro. If I was called to anywhere third world country, bro, I would come because of the eating, bro. I would not survive, bro. I would come home and say, nah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I think that's 100% true because your episode, John, we touched on your temperament. And you went to a place that challenged that every day.
Oh, yeah.
Because East Coast,
oh, shoot.
I'll let John talk about that, but he went to the East Coast and
I didn't even think about that.
people who don't know about the church, it's not well liked on the East Coast. Not anywhere in general, but specifically on the East Coast, they challenge you a lot. So how's that, like, how did that help you and your temperament?
Oh, dang, bro. I didn't even, think about that at all, to be honest. But I think it helped out a lot. Because, like I said, they're about it, bro. So I was like, all right, if you're about it, I'm about it. We can get it. But then it was to the point where it's bro, if I'm gonna be out here fighting people and trying to confront people like that, what am I doing out here? If I'm really out here trying to help people get closer to Christ, then I probably should figure that out. Figure out how to be able to address situations and all that without getting pissed off and without wanting to fight everyone.
Yeah.
I think that segues into my next thought that I've been having lately with conversion, especially with people who are opposite belief of you. One thing I'll stand on is my testimony. Nobody can sway me from me believing this is the true church. But I also know that there's Catholics like that just as hard as I believe, they have the same testimony for their church. So how do I, because obviously our goal is to bring as much people as we can to this church. How is
it?
Or love Christ. I feel like that's our mission. And if we approach it in a fighting way, what does that do? What do you guys believe that does?
Pushes them away.
I think it pushes us away. So how do we find common ground? Even though I'm never changing my belief, they're never changing their belief because they believe just as hard as I do that they're right. How do we come together?
I think the biggest thing is just Christ was the embodiment of love. And so the biggest way that even for us on our mission, because they're a very Muslim dominant country. So even when we were with Muslims, I had people who I baptized who were former Muslims, but it was simply because of acts of love and kindness. So it was just out of service. I mean, Miko, my cousin, he just got back from his mission, and he was telling us about times when he was on his mission where these people wouldn't even teach, they wouldn't even teach them, but they would just be serving them all day. He said that his mission was basically a service mission.
That's
and
dope.
That kind of segued into him being able to have lessons, people open up more, and so it's more of that just showing the charity of Christ, and everybody is receptive to that, or at least has the ability to be receptive to that. So
I think in my episode I mentioned that Charlie taught me that the gospel is love. What's 100% what it is? It's love. It's service, like you said, and I think that's the way we can connect with other religions, and I'm not trying to bring them over to our religion. I love them to believe what I believe, but I think the goal is just to build a loving relationship with them. John, I seen you not made a favor. You made a comment about our main goal. What do you think our main goal is?
The thing that we always said, our purpose is to invite others to come into Christ, to receive the restored gospel. Through faith in Jesus Christ, repentance, baptism, receiving the gift of the Holy Ghost, and enduring to the end. But with that, we want to build their faith in Christ first. Everything after that is preparatory for that. A lot of that other stuff after that we can't control. It's their agency. They get to choose if they want to repent. They get to choose if they want to get baptized. They get to choose if they want to receive the Holy Ghost. They get to choose if they want to endure it to the end. So that's always been my thought. That's always been my feeling of like, bro, like I'm not here to baptize anyone. I'm not here to rack up numbers or anything like that. I can't remember. Did I tell the story about the 70 on mine?
Yeah, you did. Oh, it wasn't on the podcast.
I think you just.
I remember you told us the story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's share.
So 70 came to our mission, and nothing against the 70. You know, he's doing his job and he's experienced what he's believed in. So a 70 is what is it? A leader. Yeah, a leader of the church within the area that you're serving in. So he overlooked our area, and so the 70 came, and we had, what is it called? A zone meeting.
Zone conference?
Yeah, a zone conference. And in that zone conference, he said that I'm going to pick 3 of you out of the mission to interview. And I was one of the missionaries that he picked. And so in that interview, he came, really nice guy, talked about like the mission, how I felt, my experiences. And one of the questions he said was, Elder Davidson, have you been successful? And I said, yeah, I have. And it was about a year into my mission. And he was like, okay, so you've been successful. How many baptisms do you have? And, oh, shoot.
It's okay, man. Take your time.
Good.
Nah, so I honestly, like we talked about, I could get kind of confrontational. But I just told him, I was like, you know, to be honest, I haven't seen any baptisms. I was like, and so if you're going to determine missionary success off of baptisms, then for me, I believe you're wrong. I was like, for me, have I seen success? Yes. I've seen my companions change. Me, I've seen myself change. I've seen ward members change. People in the street change. My first area, these guys hated us. And to the point where we showed them so much love, we were invited to go teach at other churches, other congregations. So do I feel like I was successful? Yes. But if you're going to base my success off of baptisms, then I don't even want to talk to you. And then I just left the meeting, like dipped out, didn't shake his hand or nothing. And so for me, like, I guess that's why I made that face, is because, like, I just don't believe in that stuff. Like, I'm like, bro, like, our whole goal is just to help people build their relationship with Christ, with God. Everything else is an individual choice after that.
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. I think what you touched on as far as they hated you, or they hated you guys at first, and I think it's because obviously they don't know you, but also they probably think you have an agenda behind why you're there.
For sure. The pastors, multiple people, different churches. So the area that I served in first, hella churches, bro. Different denominations, Muslim, Jew, different Christian denominations, hella Catholics. Every single person that we would talk to when we first got there, we were walking elders, they would tell us, oh, our pastor already told us about what you believe in. Every single one, bro. I was like, dude, like, you don't go learn about a Chevy by going to talk to the Ford dealership.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I always told them. It's like, bro, if you want to learn about who we are, come learn from us. I was like, and your pastor is probably a good person, but he doesn't know nothing about what we believe in. So stop. That's something I'm pretty passionate about. It's like whatever you learn and believe in, make sure your sources are correct. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we have such an abundance of information in the world now, right at our hands, and we're following misguided sources.
Yeah.
And then we believe that, and then no wonder people crumble when pressure's on. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
I think that was the biggest difference, like, from like when I served a lot with missionaries is the way that they would approach like this type of situation. There's a lot of people who were very confrontational, or like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, like this is the true church. And I think the biggest difference that I've seen with people like that is just they're going back to what we said earlier, is just the like responding with love. So rather than like being sitting there throwing verses at these guys out of the Bible, that was a big thing, just Bible bashing, trying to prove who was right. Is serving, acts of charity, like humbly being like, oh, you know what, like that's okay, like being it. And one of the biggest things for me as a missionary that determined whether like someone was maturing in the mission field was knowing whether like trusting the Spirit when it tells you that someone is not ready for the gospel, like being able to walk away, being able to be like, okay, well, maybe I just planted a couple seeds here, maybe I did this, maybe I did that, and then not trying to force like baptisms or like, oh yeah, like you're going to hell if you're not baptized in our church type
No,
thing.
for real,
Yeah,
bro.
and that was the biggest thing that I learned with missionaries that were about to go home on my mission when I was first there, is that they were telling me the importance of not just pushing people into baptisms. Because even though our mission was like you baptized a lot of people, you go back, as soon as these elders leave, this person never back to church. So a lot of ours was just reactivating people and stuff like that. And it was off of that principle, whether you're pushing them to baptism or whether they're, like John said, just being able to like make their own choice type thing. So
No, I agree. I think the field me and Drew work in is with kids. And the first thing we always say to the staff that come in is, I promise you, you come in here, try to enforce the rules, they're going to give you the middle finger. You need to come in and build a relationship first before anything. That relationship is what's going to take them knowing that you're coming from a place of love rather than a place of authority. If you just come from a place of authority, people are going to rush you off because they know you don't care. But I feel like you love me, like Nico touched on with the brotherhood. I know if John's telling me or Drew's telling me that I need to step up or I need to cut it out, then it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from them just going against me, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But yeah, I know we didn't want to we didn't mean for this to turn into a spiritual talk, but obviously we go where the Spirit takes us.
I have a story about like kind of like building rapport. So I've worked in your guys' field before, and there's this one kid, man, like kind of a high alert kid, and he had tantrums. He actually got shipped to us because other facilities just couldn't handle him. So yeah, he had a single room, all that stuff, and one day I came in and all the staff was on deck. Everyone was locked down, all that. Like they're standing outside the door, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then they're like, "Oh, so and so, like he's throwing a tantrum. He threw all these chairs. All these chairs are all over the place." I was like, "Damn!" And I was like, "Shoot, what the heck?" And so I was like, "Hey, let me go talk to him." They're like, "Nah, he's." I looked in his hole, the little thing, and bro, his whole room was tore up, bro. Tore up. And I looked in there and I banged on the door. I said, "Hey, I'm coming in." And he looked, and legit, bro, he sat on his desk and waited for me to come in. Sat on his bed. They're like, "Hey, you want us to keep the door open?" I was like, "No. Like, someone stay there, obviously. Like, we need 2 staff." I was like, "But close the door. Leave it alone." And then hopped in there like, "Bro, you good?" He's like, "Nah, F these guys. Like, they're trying to tell me I'm a liar and all that stuff." And I was like, "What happened?" So he starts telling me a story about a staff that told him to do something, and he did it, but they told him but they said, "No, I wanted it this way." And then he's like, "But you told me to do it this way." And he was like, "No." Like, and then started telling me he was a liar and put him on structure. Like, put him, like...
Consequence?
Consequence. Yeah. And, like, he flipped out. But anyways, while he's telling me that story, I start cleaning up his room. I get his mat and start putting in, like, I didn't even tell him to do it with me. But while I was doing that, he watched me. And then he started doing it with me. And then we had it all cleaned by the end of his story. And then we sat on his bed and talked about that. And so it's like, I had that rapport with him to be able to sit there in a crazy moment and to be able to hear him out, but also help him straighten out certain things that he needs to straighten out. Yeah. But then we were able to address it with that, staff member, where it's like, hey, bro, like, did you do this? Yeah. Did you do this? Well, I meant it like, well, all right, bro. So since you put him on structure, then we're going to put you on a consequence.
Yeah.
For real, bro. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. Like, bro, you can't be treating these kids like that. You wonder why they flip out. It's because of the way you treat them, bro. You treat them like you said, you treat them like a prisoner, they're going to act like a prisoner and they're going to beat you up. I was like, but if you treat them like young men, young women who, like, we respect and love, they're going to receive that. Because most of the time, throughout their upbringing, they never had that. So therefore, it's foreign to them, and we all have a longing for respect and love. And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can give that to anyone.
No, I love that. I think Drew, we don't talk too much about his career, but, like, the thing I respect about Drew is his house had a problem. He ran a house, or he was a supervisor over the house.
Over a whole house?
Over a whole house. Yeah. Well, over the whole...
I didn't know, bro.
Over the whole campus in general,
Mm-hmm.
but he was specifically, like, in charge of these kids' treatment. Like, he went to their treatment teams. But one thing I loved about Drew was his house had a problem with swearing. And he put together, not a consequence, but he put together a challenge. He goes, all right, anyone who swears, 5 push-ups. And they're like, no. He goes, I'm doing them with you. Because I know I have a problem with swearing too. So if I swear, I want you guys to call me out. My team, if you guys swear, everyone's going to call each other out. We're going to get better together. And that just goes on to your story. Like, it can't just be the kids working on themselves and us thinking we're above them and we're perfect. I was like, no, man, I promise you, there were 0 qualifications to be a youth mentor. Anybody can apply for it.
Yeah.
And that just shows that, like, everyone has room for improvement as well. So I love that about Drew. I love that story that you told, that staff need to be held accountable just like the kids. And it needs to be more of, hey, I see you struggling, I'm struggling too, let's work on it together. But yeah, like, love and respect is always has to be the first thing. Did you know this kid before you went in that room?
Yeah.
Like, that's why he sat on the desk.
Mm-hmm.
Is because you built that relationship. If it was me, I didn't know this kid. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, I'm coming in. Get the hell out! No, you're not.
Bro, that kid for real, he's one of the kids that are ready to fight. He would fight anyone that hopped in there. He was down, bro. Like, he was ready and willing to do whatever.
Bro, there's so many examples that I can tell you about Drew and freaking down and off camera about how well they led their homes. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, love and respect was the first thing they went into, and the kids loved them. So I love that. I love that story. This is why I love the field, is because the relationships you build, and, like, you don't know how much little deeds, how far they can go in a kid's life. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man.
One thing I love about, like, just like that I've learned from the field is having that reciprocal relationship. Kind of bringing it to, so like a lot of our viewers can relate to it. I remember I was actually having a conversation with Dallin like the other week, talking about, like, the elders or those who are older than us in families, or like my mom's friends, my dad's friends, things like that. People who are, like, just demanding respect out of when they meet us. Like, what are you guys thoughts on that? Because then it almost comes down to the same thing. This is like family we're not close to, or they're either like fouls, all that stuff. Like, I'll do that stuff. That's easy. But when we're talking about, like, they're just starting to speak to you, like, in disrespectful manners, disrespectful tones, like, what do you guys? I don't know if we want to touch on that, or like.
I'm down to talk about whatever.
For me, if I don't feel love in the relationship, then I don't respect it. I was very fortunate enough to grow up with elders who loved and respected me. So anytime they told me to do something, I was the first one to get up and do it. I think one thing my parents taught me is I give that respect initially until the disrespect comes.
Yeah.
Like, so any elder that I just meet, I'm gonna treat them just like my grandparents. Like, I'm gonna, oh, what do you need? Pay out. But if it gets to a point where it's them being disrespectful to me, then like, I'm sorry, that relationship goes out the window. For example, like at work, I work, and I didn't really grow up with him, but my uncle, he works there with me, and I didn't know him like that. Like, I've seen him around, but even he didn't recognize me. But when I first got there, I found out who he was. I was like, okay, I know your kids. Anything that guy asked me to do, like, I'm gonna do it. And he hasn't crossed. Like, if he crosses the line, obviously, of being disrespectful and expecting me to do it, then that's where the relationship changes. So, yeah, for me, you get that respect initially until you prove me otherwise.
I actually like that a lot, because I feel like, well, not a lot happening just in my like immediate surroundings, but I know a lot of my friends and some of my cousins and things like that where it's like, nah, they didn't earn my respect, or they haven't done like this and that for me, so I'm not gonna do so and so or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is that, like what you said, that initial respect, and then just making sure. For me, the biggest thing that I've learned, even like especially with my own family, is just like forgiveness, being able to overlook things, or even just have like an actual conversation about how things happen. I noticed a lot, like when I was growing up, things would be like something would happen, I would get into a disagreement or an argument with someone, and then the next time it would just be me and you, oh, they buy me food, and then that's like, oh yeah, we're good. But as I've grown older, like it's come to where I'm able to like have those hard conversations with the people that are closest to me, and that's what's been able to help strengthen the relationships. And I feel like that's something that misses a lot in our culture, where it's like those hard conversations are not being had between like our family members and those closest to us. That's from like my personal experience.
No,
So,
for real. I like that.
100%.
yeah.
Repeat the question.
My question?
Yeah.
The one I started with?
Yeah. Just so I remember.
It was talking about like staff, like in our field, staff or mentor to kid. A lot of mentors, when they first come on, they want to like they demand respect without having that. So like in our culture, how do we relate that with like elders or those who are bigger than us?
Go ahead, brother. Go off.
No, I don't think it's like that. At least for me, like the way that I grew up, you know, I'm gonna respect everyone and I'm gonna love everyone. But like honestly, the way that my mom always taught me was like don't be afraid of nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when, bro, I'm just not gonna be that guy. Like if there's disrespect in any form, like we're done. Like I'm not saying like we're done, like cut off, but we're done. Like it's either we're gonna have words exchanged or we're gonna get physical.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it goes. And so like that's how my mind works. Is like, all right, bro. Like if you wanna talk about it, we can talk about it. If you wanna get physical, we can get physical.
Yeah.
And I understand that that's not the best way to be. I just know I don't know. I just don't tolerate that stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Like I just don't tolerate that stuff at all. Like mission memory just popped in my head. Knocking on doors. We went and we're giving out Bibles and Books of Mormon. If people order them, then we'll go deliver them. And so someone ordered a Bible, and it was some lady's name. We'll just say Brittany. I can't remember the lady's name. But we went over there, knocked on the door. So in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania, like porches are big. Everyone has a porch. And so my companion went and knocked on the door, and the door swings this way towards me. I was on his right side. Opens the door. The guy's like, who are you looking for? And we're like, oh, we're looking for Brittany. He was like, for what? And he was like, oh, he was like, we got a Bible for him. And he just goes off, bro. He's like, get the F off my porch and all that stuff. You better leave. And then, bro, he pushes the door to open the, what is it?
The screen door?
Screen door. And I grab the screen door, and then I just grab my companion and pull him back behind me. And then just stuff always flies out of my mouth. So whatever was coming out of my mouth was coming out of my mouth. And so I was pissed because, to your point, I felt like he was disrespecting us for no reason.
Yeah.
And so I just grabbed him, pulled him, and I just started running my mouth. And I was like, basically telling him, all right, bro, come out. Let's go. Like, if you want this, we can get it. And then he was like, hey, are you Samoan? And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, nah, man, I grew up in Hawaii. I don't with no Samoans, bro. And I was like, bro, I don't give a damn if I'm Samoan. Like, he's Palangi, but don't be messing with them like that just because the differences between our race.
Yeah.
And he was cool. Like, he actually turned out to be a hella cool dude. But he was like, yeah, bro, like, I grew up out there, all that. Like, all my homies are Samoan. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, bro, for real, though. Like, you need to chill out. Like, I know it's different out here. I understand that. And people coming on your porch. But, bro, like, if you're going to come at anyone like that, you better freaking, like, follow through with what you want to do. Yeah. I was like, you can't punk out, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, the Samoans here.
Now you all back up.
Yeah, for real. But that's just always been my mindset. Like, to that question is like, I don't care who you are, bro. You can be the oldest chief. I'm just not gonna back down. Yeah. Like, if you're disrespecting me or my family, like, we can just get it, bro.
Yeah.
But I'm changing, so.
Obviously, you know where the mistakes were, but I think in general the concept of what you're doing is like it's okay. Like, to me, obviously the fighting, yes, we'll chill out, like, find different ways, but to stand up for yourself, man, it's not a bad thing. Someone come at you with disrespect, obviously there's better ways to handle it than challenge their violence, like fire with fire.
Mm-hmm. But
to just let them run over you, to me, is not okay either. You gotta stand up for yourself. You gotta be able to say, hey man, chill out, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not even here trying to fight you. I'm here to bring a Bible that someone ordered here. Like,
yeah.
If your issues with me, you gotta go talk to them. They ordered it. But like, yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, like, your concept, it's not wrong. There's just better ways to execute.
Yeah.
That's how I love, like, working in the field, because I only been in there. I was only there for a year.
Yeah.
Like, basically, like, especially working with you, my first, like, 6 months when I learned with you and Dallin, just working back to back with you guys. I think the biggest thing that I learned was, like, a lot of times when I'm working with kids, it's gonna be like a knee-jerk reaction to things that happen that I do. So when it's something that they don't like that I do, it's gonna be a knee-jerk reaction. But that's not gonna be the sole reason why they do things. There's like an underlying reason. So it's helped me to be like more open, even in just my everyday dealings with people, and help me like have more patience. Even when, like, say my pops comes home and he's tired and he's mad, he's just, hey, why isn't this house doing this? And then I'll clean the house, do all the files, then come back, sit down with dad, talk with him, and like, or something happened at work. Someone was being stupid to him, or like something else happened. And so I think that's been one of the biggest skills that I picked up is being able to just like work through that first initial reaction that people have, and then go after and try and like pick it up, see where like I can relate with them.
John touched on that a little bit when he was telling your story about the kid. Yeah. But man, like, for me, the hardest part of this job when I first started was seeing stuff that I could solve pretty easy and see them not try to solve it that way. Because I was just getting frustrated. So, dog, if you just do it this way, it'll be so much easier. But I think that's part of being a mentor in general, or even a mentor in life. Like, you got to let them go through their mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's the way they learn. That's the way they build their own character and find their own way. We can't. One thing I hate is when staff are always giving the answers. Like, you got to be able to let them make their own mistakes and let them self-govern. That's one thing that's the word I was searching for. That.
Yeah.
But Charlie always taught that was they got to govern themselves because we're not going to be there forever. We're going to be there for a very short period of time in their life, and when they go home, we got to prep them the best to do it on their own. And so I love that you brought that up. The one thing that helped me the most was learning their stories, learning their background, learning what they went through. And I promise you, if you read that, I always put myself in their shoes. It's like, damn, if I had been through what they've been through, sexual assault, gangs, getting beat up, getting jumped, I promise you I'll probably be worse than them, if I'm being honest. But they're strong enough to go through that and end up where they are to try to get help. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I'll say with not just in the field, but in general. Get to know people, get to know their backgrounds, get to know who they are, where they come from, and then when you're getting angry, it's a lot easier to come down from that because you know it's not personal what they're saying to you, or it's not personal when they're acting out towards you. So man, it all stems from something.
Yeah, every reaction has a core value. Mm-hmm. I always have a random story. So you just made me think of a story at work about like learning people's story and learning about them. So the guy that I'm under, the journeyman I'm under right now.
I think we haven't touched on your episode. What do you do?
Oh, I'm a plumber.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've done service plumbing, drain cleaning, and now I'm doing commercial plumbing right now. So yeah, I'm trying to. A lot of times tradesmen stay in one specific lane, but for me, I like learning, so I'm gonna learn everything about plumbing. So, am I gonna be the greatest plumber? Probably not, but I just want to be able to learn all that stuff. So, but so yeah, my journeyman plumber that I'm under, amazing, bro, hella good at plumbing. But he has a habit of getting stressed out pretty quick. But I started asking him a little bit more questions about his life and his experiences and growing up. And I don't know if it's connected to that, but he talked about his dad. And because he asked me about my dad. He was like, so what's your dad do? I was like, oh, I don't know my dad. He's like, what do you mean you don't know your dad? It was like, I just don't know him, bro. It was like, so like he left, like how old? I was like before birth, bro. Like, why do you keep asking me this?
Do you have any more dads?
He would not drop it. I was like, do you know my dad?
Jeez, bro.
Nah, but yeah, so I asked him about his dad. And so he's like, I could connect you with you on that in a certain level. So his dad left him and his mom when he was like 12, and then filed for like a DNA test on him, and then like just been like that the whole time. And the mom's like, bro, like this is your son. And he was like, no, I know you've been around with other dudes and all that stuff. And he had a good relationship with his dad until that moment. He said then when he turned 18 years old, his dad picked him up from school and took him to go take a DNA test. And he went, took the DNA test, and then the DNA test came back. That's his dad. That's his son. Mm-hmm. And he said that his dad took him back to school, gave him $20 and said, sorry, never came back again.
Wow.
And I don't know, bro, like kind of to your point, like learning people's story, like that made me more compassionate towards him. Like, does his stress me out? Yeah. But it helps me understand a little bit better of like where he's coming from, part of his life. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, like, shoot, like, I don't know how that's messed with your mental, but I'm here. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It sounds hella weird, but I dap him up and give him a hug and all that stuff.
That's cool though. Like,
just because in my head I'm like, from 12 on, you're 40 years old, you probably still want a hug from your pops.
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm not your pops, but shoot, male bonding and that, what is it called? Like being able to like give hugs and all that stuff like is needed as well. So
I like that. I think one of the important things, like especially based off of what you both just talked about, like just being able to get to know people's stories. Like when you first came to us with like the podcast, that's what the basis of it was. Like being able to get to know like us, get to know our parents, our aunties, our uncles, those that we're close with. And I think that's the importance. I love what Don said, just like the power that comes with the stories and how we're able to connect with people. And I just think that's something that's super dope. With my, like with my mom, me and my mom, we were pretty close growing up just because like I was the oldest, I was her first kid. But then when I came back from my mission, I used to spend like tons and tons of time with my mom's. I would come home from work, I would pick a dinner just for me, mom, and dad, and I would give dad his food. He was watching the game, and I would sit in the room with my mom, and two of us just eating food. And it was like just being able to like get to know her, and she'd talk about stories of her growing up, her with her siblings, her in school, like what she used to do at church and how she was, and just like those. I probably had a good like maybe 3-4 years with my mom just doing that like almost every day, and just having that like knowing her background, it's able to help me understand her relationship with her siblings, like understand her relationship with her parents, and things like that. And just being able to know that helps me. It just brought me so much closer with my mom, and even like my dad, been talking with him a little bit more too. So it's been nice just being able to connect and kind of relate to them and be like, damn, like you were once like my age.
Yeah.
Like, granted, you guys had me at that age, but like you were once my age, kind of going what I was going through. So it's nice being able to connect with them on that level. So
I think I love that you said that, because I feel like when John came to me with the podcast, I didn't take advantage. And when my dad passed, hearing my mom tell us stories after the fact, because I was like, dang, like I should have listened and like talked to my dad about stuff like that. But now I get the chance to talk to my mom about it, and like it's cool hearing those stories, man. Like anyone who knows my parents, man, like they think, because my dad puts on this persona like around like a group of people that I'm from Carson, I'm hard, but my dad's the biggest softie in the world, man. But my mom told me this story. I think you were there, or maybe one of you two were there. But when they were at a house party, and this girl either slapped my dad or something. And my dad tried to take my mom out, but my mom went after her. Like, she was like, nah. I said, well, Dad was a little crazy. She goes, no, I was crazy. Gosh, dude. But she goes, I beat that girl up. This guy tried to pull me off. Your dad just wham, hit him off, and then we left. So like even that, like even though that's not a lesson, but like I love it because it's a memory. It's a memory that obviously I wasn't there, but I get to hear it from my mom's mouth, which I wish I would have taken advantage and heard both sides. Because I want to hear my dad. My dad's going to be, nah, I was crazy.
like, hey, I know you lying.
That's the purpose of this podcast, man. Like, to tell your story, but also listen to others and pass on this message, pass on the memories. Because I don't talk with my siblings or my nephews the way I talk with my boys. Like, there's some stories that I promise you they'll love to hear about how we grew up. And that's just there's just not a natural way of sharing those stories with a sibling or a younger nephew or your parents or your kid, just because this is a different dynamic than your best friends, your boys, of when we were messing around at the rec, sneaking into the pool. Like, you just don't have those opportunities. So that's why I love this podcast. That's why I love the idea behind it. It's not money driven. Obviously, money's going to be nice if it does come through, but it's not driven by that. That's not our main purpose. But so I love that you said that, because it just shows that we have a bigger message to get out. And like, hey, take advantage of the time you have with your loved ones, especially when you get to me and John's age, 30s.
Just right around the corner, brother.
Nah, I got time.
You're nah, bro.
I got time.
25 goes by hell.
Don't push
I
me
thought I
like
had
that.
time too. I'm 32 now. I said I have time. What? 2 kids? I'm married.
They said,
You're sneaking up on me, man.
I heard a quote, and they said the 30 to 50 is the hardest age range because you start losing your idols, your people you look up to, because they're getting older in age, and obviously they're gonna start passing away of old age or passing away in general. So, to those who are in this age range or younger, take advantage of this time. Talk to your parents, talk to your mentors, talk to your loved ones, talk to your siblings, because I promise you, like, this is a regret I have, and I'm not afraid to share it. Like, I regret not talking to my dad more about stories, about his upbringing. But yeah, so first off, thank you, John. Like, thank you for this, because it's been a month and it's been fun. But man, like, I love it.
You know what's crazy, bro? Like, I told Donovan and Nico kind of my process of, like, before podcasts, like weeks in advance. Bro, I really, like, pray and study and, like, try to, like, kind of like the mission, bro, to be honest. Mentally prepare myself, but I also, like, write down questions and pray about questions and doing all that kind of stuff. It's crazy because, like, you bringing up that topic and then Donovan talking about what he talked about, bro, like, that's part of, like, one of the stuff I've been praying about, that this conversation, because I feel like we hit on this conversation, but we haven't hit on this conversation. When you was talking about your moms, bro, honestly, bro, I'm just happy that you have those moments, you know what I mean? Because, like Donovan said, like, bro, those moments go by so fast. I was just texting one of my cousins and trying to set up another podcast with them, like an interview with them, because I want to do it's on my in-law side. So they're Cambodian and they fled from Cambodia. Because there's a war going on over there, and I want to capture that story, and I want to capture them telling the story for the next generation. But I told them kind of like our purpose and all that stuff behind it, and I told them, bro, to be honest, a lot of times recently, like, I can't really remember the way that my grandma sounds or my mom, and in my head I feel like, I know what my mom sounds like, bro. Like, I know what my grandma sounds like. But the older we get, the more experience we get, time defeats all. And so for me, that's kind of been on my mind heavy. Where I'm like, damn, everyone thinks they have time, but they really don't, bro. And then we all think that we're going to remember, but we really don't. And so I wish I took the opportunity. I'll be honest, bro. I wish I took the opportunity to not be a fucking pussy, dude. Had promptings to do that for my grandma and to do that for my mom. And I fucking pussied out because I didn't want to accept that they were going to pass away. And so take those opportunities to record with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, because, man, time just flies, bro. My cousin, I can't remember if I ever said it on my podcast, but my cousin, she passed away. I left on September 13th, 2011. My cousin got a car accident September 1st. 12 days before I left on my mission. She was young. And so a lot of times we think, oh, shoot, I'm just going to leave, bro. I'm going to leave and I'm going to see these guys tomorrow. But, bruh, I haven't seen her over 10 years. And same as that, I don't even remember how she sounds. Dead serious. I really don't know how Janelle sounds. So I'm grateful for you guys doing this with me and, taking this opportunity and helping me make it a living thing. You know what I mean? I couldn't have done it without you guys. And I know I chose the right group of men to do it with, because we all know and we all have a good heart to be able to serve and bless people. Like, that's a big thing for us. Lift, inspire, and bless. That's what we're here to do. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was crazy, like how it all kind of unfolded. I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. I didn't even ask the question.
So, yeah, I think there's nothing else to say after that. I think one thing I wanted to do with you guys, to make it a little lighter right now, one thing I love that we did last time was shout out like other people. Like, the thing I love that John always says is people are amazing and you don't get to see it. So I don't know, take some time right now, but if there's anyone you guys could think of shouting out right now, go ahead and shout them out. I'll go first because I had this question on my mind, but you guys think while I talk. But the one person I want to shout out is the creator, and obviously he's way bigger than us, but I love his content. It's Havea676.
I like that one.
I love it. I love his content in general, but I love that he's getting recognized for it. He just won the Australian comedian TikTok Awards, and his content is wholesome. And like you can tell through his videos that he's just a good guy. So it's good to see that a good guy just getting recognized for his content. He has his daughters that he makes his content with, which I love that he gave them recognition because they are hilarious. But yeah, so Havea676, man, appreciate your content, appreciate you sharing your life or a little bit of your life with us. But that's the one I wanted to shout out. Just I love seeing good men get recognized for their talents.
I want to shout out for my dad. My dad just had, in our family, his oldest brother just passed away. And it was hard for a few days seeing my dad. Just like grieving how he was and things like that. But just like the show of strength that my dad has, like it's a blessing to have someone who's worthy of like holding the priesthood and being like having that in our household. It's such a blessing to see him, what he's going through, how he's dealt with it, how he's still been able to be strong through everything that's happened. I seen him, he only took one day off of work and then he was back at it the next morning, just up and going. So thank you, Dad. Love you.
Honestly, mine's a food place.
Shout him out, man.
Thai food, Tuk Tuk. Started in West Valley. They have one in Draper now. Really good people, man. But Tuk Tuk, if you want some good Thai food, local Thai food, bro, that's the spot. So
They got one in Draper?
They got one in Draper.
You gotta send it to me after this. I want to hit them up.
Yeah, bro.
I love Thai food.
Yeah, it's hella good.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. It's the Elevate Podcast. Me, Donovan, John, Drew. Our brother Nico's not here tonight, but he'll be
I love
here when he gets
Nico.
here.
Bless. Love Nico Davidson.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Thank you,
y'all.
guys.